Am I prepared to ban the majority of black people from visiting my gallery? Absolutely not, John.
That's just a piece of that New York City art gallery owner Eli Klein railing against the return of masks and mandates, specifically in New York City. The business owner is speaking out just as the new vaccine mandate policy went into effect last week in the Big Apple. The mandate requires people to show your proof of at least one dose of the vaccine for certain indoor activities. Going to a restaurant, going to a bar, gym, etc. Eli Klein joins us now. Eli, good to see you, and thanks so much for coming on. Look, there's a lot of folks that are pushing back against these mandates. I myself went to several different restaurants or bars within the city of New York, and some are enforcing it, some are not, citing their own reasons. What do you think this will do to New York City local business owners?
Well, I think that the businesses that stand to gain from it are the 5% that are serving the wealthiest people that really do feel protected from this, feel protected from everyone else being vaccinated around them. And the vast majority of the businesses in New York would be crushed if this was enforced. Any business in a low income area with low vaccination rates, of course, would suffer tremendously by losing, 10, 20, 30% of their customers. So it really is something which is further segregating society in New York City, and is would have a disparate impact on the poorer sections of New York City, and blacks in particular.
Yeah, let me jump in and just back that up with the NYC Health, the vaccination rate that they put out. This is according to New York City Health at last check. It says this: in New York City, only 40% of black adults and 56% of Hispanic adults are fully vaccinated. A lot of information on your screen, but this breaks down what it does with demographics of who's vaccinated and who's not in New York City. At least one dose. 46% of black Americans in New York City, 64% of Hispanic and Latinos. So right now you're saying 54% of blacks cannot go inside to have a dinner, and 36% of Hispanic Latinos cannot. 12% of Asian. I mean, the goal is to get more people vaccinated. We all understand that, but we'd be kidding ourselves. Conversation of 100% vaccination rate. The city so far has done well. All in all, 70% getting vaccinated in this city. Unvaccinated can be outside and dying, but vaccinated can be indoors. This is vaccine segregation. This is something I believe you spoke out about.
Well, I did, and I think the numbers you just put up, it looks like those are just adults, right? So
yeah.
This mandate applies to everyone 12 and over. So the problem is that, for example, even with tourists, if vaccines aren't authorized in almost any other country throughout the world for kids under 18. So it would essentially stop tourism for any foreign tourists that wanted to come to New York with their children that are anywhere between 12 and 18, which certainly isn't in New York City's interest to recover as we're supposed to be doing. For me, look, I've advocated for these vaccines since day one. I'm vaccinated. I helped around 100 people here in New York that were eligible to get vaccinated during the priority period. But everything about the way that this vaccine mandate has been implemented and the technicalities of it strikes me the wrong way. For example, just that it excludes those with confirmed prior infection, people who had COVID already but are unvaccinated, isn't scientifically appropriate. In that just any look at current data, it does certainly seem that the average person with a confirmed prior COVID infection is more protected than the average vaccinated person.
They have the antibodies.
Why should I let Bill de Blasio, based on his Johnson & Johnson vaccine, into my art gallery, but not a black nurse that had COVID already, but is unvaccinated. It just doesn't make any sense, and I'm not prepared to ban the vast majority of black people in New York City from my own.
If you don't, you'll face fines. Are you okay with that?
You know, I obviously I don't want to face fines, but look, I was raised, my mother was a director at the ACLU, my father was an international human rights and indigent defense law professor, and I wasn't raised to implement policies that will discriminate against the majority of black people and other unvaccinated people. It's just not something I'm prepared to do, and if I have to face fines, I will.
All right, I got to leave right there. I'm out of time with you. Fascinating conversation, though, Eli, and I know you've gotten a lot of attention as of late. We appreciate it. I hope to talk to you again. That is Eli Klein. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, time now.